Loud and clear. All right, so let's get started. So today is Wednesday, the 8th of October, 2025. This is our morning analysis session. Now, for quite some time now, the US government, there is this important information on the upper bar of the Forest Factory website, which is talking about, you can see it in yellow background. It's saying US government data may be impacted by shutdown. Tentative events are subject to delay, revision, or cancellation. So we have to take or treat all dollar-related events with a lot of caution, even major currency pairs. Now, this has been on in the last like 1 week now. We don't know when it will be over. So if you trade anything dollar-related, please trade with a lot of caution. All right, so with that being said, the events we have today, earlier on in the night, there was a New Zealand official cash rate. And okay, I think I've not refreshed this yet. All right, so the data came out, bad for the New Zealand dollar. Actual came out less than forecast. And well, the RBNZ rate statement, we really don't know the outcome of that. But then there was a lot of volatility on the NZD currency pair. I've checked quite some of them, and that's happened already in the night Nigerian time. So the event for today from the dollar from United States will come up later today by 7 p.m. That is FOMC meeting minutes. Now, this is not really the main FOMC, so we normally don't expect much volatility. And coupled with the fact of the shutdown of the American government, well, we really don't know what that impact that will make on that event. But then since it's going to happen 7 p.m., I believe most of us are day traders. We should be out of the market at that time. Peradventure, you are a swing trader and you have any trade, or you plan to enter any trade on the dollar, I will advise to make sure you deploy proper risk management ahead of that event. It's coming up later today by 7 p.m. All right, so that being said, so that means tentatively we don't have any any fundamental event for today, for today's trading day in terms of the uh, London and a part of the New York session. So I'll flip over to the chart for us to see what technical setup is already forming in the market. Now, even though there's a shutdown in the US, well, I'm seeing some setup, forming up on the dollar index. Now, this is the dollar index on the daily time frame. I can see price has been trending downwards lately. Though in reality, on the long term, the dollar is expected to be bullish. That's the thing on the long term. But then, even though we have a long-term move, there will always be short-term movement, which are called retracement. Because on the long term, on the weekly time frame, I can see a support, which gave us, the bullish movement we've experienced so far. But then currently, also anticipate. Truly, if volatility returns to the market on the dollar, this might form an inverse head and shoulder and breakout. But we don't know when that will happen, coupled with the fact that we are experiencing a shutdown at the moment. So currently on the daily time frame, price, we're seeing a downtrend, which is a kind of a retracement from the major move. And then we have price also trading around a previous resistance level. So all this gives us a confluence at this point where the trend line and the resistance is meeting, and we may experience some slight retracement at this point. Very, very possible. The possibility is high that we may experience some retracement. It may retrace, then break out later, but at least on the daily time frame, any retracement is valuable to a day trader. So that being said, we can go over to the 4-hour time frame and even a lower time frame like 1 hour and try to look for potential entries. But then our entry is going to be on USD CHF. Okay, so this is the USD CHF. You can see that same lower descending trend line. Okay, price seems to be breaking out to the upside already on the USD CHF. You see, that's why I say you trade these things with a lot of caution since the dollar is not so stable. You can see the current 4-hour candle is breaking out. Is already, but then let's still watch it closely. The candle is yet to close, so anything can still happen. But this is what I would say: if it breaks out as you're seeing, if it closes by 10 a.m., if it's going to be a sell, it will retrace back and come down. Otherwise, if that does not happen, what will happen is that price may still retrace to retest this all the resistance now, turn support, and from there break out upwards. So like I said, it's in between buy and sell. Buy long term, short term will be a sell. So let's just watch as the market unfolds on the USCHF. Market is already giving a slight movement from what the analysis is saying. So let's just move on from that. We'll come back. If we see anything tradable later on, we'll let you know on that. But then I'm also putting my attention a lot today on the BTC USD. There's been a lot of volatility overnight, so some of the pairs are not really in the tradable mode per se. But then I'm seeing a setup on BTC USD. For BTC USD, price has been forming a rising wedge pattern on the daily time frame. It's a massive one. You can see higher highs and higher highs, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. The next wave should be a higher low on the BTC USD. So price touched the trend line up here. And not only that, the candle that closed yesterday closed as a bearish engulfing candlestick pattern. So further bearish movement is anticipated on the BTC USD. Now, it's possible price will first retrace before a continuation. That's possible, and that might give us something that looks like a head and shoulder pattern, but that's still on the daily time frame. Let's flip down to a lower time frame like 4 hour to get a clearer view. I think we should go down to 1 hour. All right, so this is a 1 hour version of this. So price needs to break out below this region for us to see that sell I mentioned. And like I said, we may now it's looking like it's forming something like looks like a reversal pattern. Price may go up before we see the final bearish movement. So we'll just mark that region as a kind of a range zone. So if a new candle breaks out below this support, then we can trigger a sell on BTC USD. Otherwise, price may just try to form something that looks like this before it drops. Well, either ways, I'm only looking for opportunity to sell the BTC USD. So we're bearish. We're very, very bearish on the BTC USD. Then I'll be looking at the Euro AUD. Now, Euro AUD has been trending up on the daily time frame, and we should have a further continuation up from that point. And if we take it to the 4 hour, we're not really seeing much clarity. That looks like a range zone. Even on 1 hour it is, but then it's also a reversal region. You know, what is happening here is that price is trying, it's not a clear pattern, but by experience, I can actually see it. It's trying to form something that may look like a double top or some inverse reversal pattern, and from there break out upwards. So we'll watch out for Euro AUD in the course of today. If price breaks out above this range box, then we'll be looking at buying the Euro AUD, and potential profit on this can be to the tune of about 30 pips to Fibonacci 50, and about 58 pips to Fibonacci 1.8, and as much as about 98 pips to Fibonacci 70.6. So we're having between 30 to 90 pips movement anticipated on the Euro AUD. in the course of today. So let's just watch out closely. We're expecting a breakout to the upside. Now, the last two pairs I'm going to give us, they are a bit related, so they should be taken with a lot of caution. And that's the Euro CHF and the CHF JPY. You cannot trade both of them. You can only take one. So whichever one matures first out of the two. Now, the Euro CHF is having a similar setup to what, similar direction to what I just showed you on the Euro AUD. Now, for the Euro CHF, on the daily time frame, we can see price actually has formed a falling, well, like a symmetrical triangle, not actually a falling wedge, a symmetrical triangle. But what is important is that price has moved within this pattern, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. The next wave should be a higher high. All right. Now, the current candle is forming a rejection candle. Yes, the day it has not closed because the day just started. But notwithstanding, if you go down to a lower time frame like 1 hour, you can see there's a very, very sharp rejection candle already formed, which is indicative of the possibility of a reversal. And if we go back again to the daily time frame, we'll see clearly we have a very, very good support level around here, around that same region. There is a very, very strong support. So technically, we have a bullish outlook on the Euro CHF, just like we have on the Euro AUD. If we take it down to the 1 hour time frame, this is what we will see. So we have a support, a trend line, and a rejection candle. Three valid reasons to anticipate a breakout on the Euro CHF. You can also choose to draw a trend line to see if you can capture something that will look like a falling wedge pattern. Right. So four valid reasons. Now, price may just try to replicate what is happening here before a breakout happens. But what is most importantly is that we're going to be looking out for a bullish breakout on the Euro CHF. So we're bullish on the Euro CHF on 1 hour. We're bullish on the Euro CHF on 1 hour time frame. And the profit potential on this well, it's not so volatile, about 10 pips to Fibonacci 50. If you're looking at Fibonacci 38.7 as a potential entry, and about 21 pips, Fibonacci 61.8, and about 36 pips on Fibonacci 78.6. For a scalper, it's not really bad. It's not really a bad one, but at least every little 10 pips, 5 pips here and there can do a lot. Like they say that little drops of water makes the ocean. So I'm bullish on the Euro CHF. And finally, CHF JPY. Now, other pairs are not too stable at the moment. These are the ones I can see potential tradable setup on. Now, a word of caution, if you're trading Euro CHF, don't trade CHF JPY because they are, negatively correlated. Euro CHF is looking bullish, CHF JPY is looking bearish. So, whichever one triggers first out of the two of them is what you should take, or you just determine to take just one out of the two. Now for CHJPY, this one has been trending off for quite some time since January this year. It's been in an uptrend and it has made a series of higher highs. And we're expecting, after a higher high, you see a higher low, a higher high, higher low, a higher high. The next wave should be a higher low. So the next wave we're expecting on this should be a higher low. That's on the daily time frame. If you come down to the 4-hour time frame, on the 4-hour time frame, we're seeing a reversal candlestick pattern here. It's not really a tweezer, but that's still a reversal. And as in, I mean, it's not a tweezer top, but close to it. So what I'm anticipating could form on this on 1 hour is possibly a head and shoulder. Now, this is still tentative. It has not formed yet, but if this forms a head and shoulder, we'll wait for the price to break the neckline. And at the very least, price will target this first support level. That's the least movement we can have. If it forms the condition for this one is it forming the head and shoulder pattern. If it forms the head and shoulder pattern, it will target that first support level, and that's going to be a massive one at over 100 pips. Okay, let me look at something more realistic below the neckline. Let's just say roughly 100 pips is possible on this one. If, please take note of my condition, if it forms the head and shoulder pattern, that is a condition. And don't always forget to confirm with your RSI below 50 also before you trigger a sell. All right, so that will be my analysis this morning. For those who are just joining us, we've analyzed a couple of pairs. Now, for the dollar index and the USD CHF, it's a bit opposing our analysis for now, so we're still watching closely. But notwithstanding, we're long-term bullish on the dollar and short-term bearish. So we just need to wait and see clarity what the market is doing to take a decision in the course of today. But aside that, on BTC, we are bearish. We're bearish on BTC on the 1 hour. Euro CHF, we're bullish on 1 hour. Euro AUD, we're equally bullish on 1 hour. And the CHF JPY, we're bearish on 1 hour. All right, Daniel is saying I should check BTC, gold, and XAG USD. Now for gold, I keep saying trade gold with caution, except you're on a long-term buy. Gold is not stable on the short term at the moment. You may enter a sell, a reverse to buy. You may enter a buy, reverse to sell. But if you're trading it on a long term, well, that's maybe a good one. Otherwise, be very careful with gold. Be very, very careful with gold. It's been trending up lately, I agree, but then it's not really giving us much room for proper analysis and proper entry on lower time frame, even as low as 1 hour. It's not really giving. Except, like I said, if you're on the long term, that's how gold can work for now. All right. So let me check what the other instrument this person said. Okay, so this particular analysis is strictly for the individual asking about this. That's Mr. Emmanuel. This is BTC Ethereum. So this is not general. So that's a disclaimer to others, purely for the individual. All right. This is BTC Ethereum. Okay, so this is BTC Ethereum. On the daily time frame, price, actually formed a rejection candle, which has led to the slight bullish movement has been experienced already today. Okay, I think I'm saying something again. Okay, perfect. All right. In the big picture, this instrument is expected to go up to make a higher high. But then it's also trading around a resistance level, because here now we have a very good confluence. We have price trending up here, then we have a resistance turn support with a rejection candle. Technically, this would trigger it. Should, let me use the word should trigger it up. But then on the lower time frame, on the 4 hour precisely, price is currently trading around a resistance level. Now, this is what I think may happen. Uh, okay, it's not giving me a okay, okay, all right, it's clearer now. Okay, so we're also having a falling wedge pattern. So what may likely happen on this is price. If price is unable to break this current resistance, we'll see a retest of the trend line. In extreme case, it may drop lower to give this a an inverse head and shoulder loop, then a massive breakout to the upside. That's one scenario. The other scenario is that price may outrightly break out above this level, test, and continue. But either ways, we are bullish on this instrument on the long term, on the 4 hour. It's a swing. It's a swing. So that person asking, that's why I say it is exclusive to this individual. If you're conversant with this instrument and the volatility of the instrument, well, you may look at doing that. But now it's not time for any entry yet. Price, like I say again, it might retest and test the trend line before breaking out, or it may drop below the trend line to form an inverse head and shoulder, then breakout, or price a breakout above this resistance, retest, and breakout. These are the three scenarios around this instrument, and none of it is ready yet. So until it happens, we just have to keep our fingers crossed. Let me close the other resistance above. All right. So just watch out for all these scenarios I've mentioned, or better still, wait for a new candle to clearly break out above this minor resistance before you think of any buying. But generally, it's a bullish setup we're anticipating on this one, on the long term, on the swing on 4 hour. And the other one right here is silver. Now, trade silver with extreme caution. It can be very, very volatile. Now, on 4 hours, silver is trading at a resistance level. It's trading at a resistance level. A minor resistance, actually. Just a 4 hour resistance. It's a very minor one. All right. So we may have now this is on two sides also, because gold has just been making higher highs without giving us any breathing space for some retracements that could lead to a signal. And same thing is also possible or possibly happening on silver. But notwithstanding, the last candle here is a rejection candle. If this resistance holds on 1 hour, we may see a retracement to retest this lower trend line. Otherwise, if price breaks out above, we also expect a retest and a continuation. So it's at the critical point where price will either break out, at least on the retracement level downwards, or it breaks out upwards and it continues moving higher. So these are the scenarios around this. Price may break out, and if it breaks out downwards to that side also, it may also form an inverse head and shoulder, which may lead to further bullish trigger. So at the moment, there's no direct, clear direction. There's no direction, let me put it that way. We may just expect price to drop, or it breaks out a retest and it continues going higher. So that's it for silver and BTC Ethereum. The dollar is unstable at the moment, so be cautious around the major currency pairs. Now, this is very due to the shutdown in the US government services. So be very careful with any major currency pair. All right, GBPNZD, Mr. Akpan. Now, GBPNZD is trading at a monthly resistance level. You can see there's a rejection candle there, which is forming a resistance, and price is back to that level on the monthly time frame. Still valid on the weekly, valid on the daily, and here we are on the 1 hour. Now, instead there's a strong move in the markets, we may not see a sharp drop on this one. Yes, at a resistance, we expect the market to sell, but then we may just see price range for a while before any reversal could happen. And that's also because today, this instrument has already done how many pips today? It has done 184 pips on the upside today. It will likely not do another 184 pips to the downside. I will advise you just ignore this instrument now. It may sell, but not today. Okay, AUD card will be the last one I'll treat for Funke, and we'll be done with that. Now for AUD card, you can see on the weekly time frame that price is trending downwards. I mean, it's forming a reversal setup on the weekly time frame. You can see it's a downward trend, and we are to expect a downward movement. And on the daily, we also can see in the last couple of days, price also hit a resistance. So we ended up with a confluence zone here, a downward trend, a resistance, and third reason for looking for a bearish opportunity. Yesterday candle closed as a bearish engulfing candlestick pattern. Technically, this guy may sell, but then the issue is, how do we make entry? Do we just enter blindly? Also, this is forming the double top pattern, which would trigger a long-term, bearish movement on the AUD card. But all these are on the higher time frame, and if you are trading on the lower time frame, I will advise you treat this instrument with a lot of caution. Now, this is a 4-hour time frame. You can see I've just drawn my trend line from the daily, and price seems to be testing that trend line now. Now, even though the long-term direction of this instrument is bearish, we need to be careful at this point that price is touching that trend line, because we may expect a retracement before a further bearish breakout. So I don't know what style of trading you use. That's for Funke. I will advise not to make any entry yet. Possibly wait for a retracement, then a breakout before you enter into a sell. And if you enter into a sell, please take note, it's long term. It may span days, but then it's likely going to be a profitable outing for this instrument. So we may expect, or if price, let me use it two sides. If for one reason or the other price is able to break out below the support zone, yes, you may enter itself. But otherwise, at this point, because this is making another set of higher lows, we may see a retracement before we see the breakout. RSI is already below 50 mark. This is already below zero. It's already in the bearish zone. Only because of the critical point price is now, anything can happen. You may enter a sell and it goes up, or you should just wait for a clear breakout before you enter into a sell. So it's a bearish one on the AUD card. And don't forget, like I said, it's a swing setup. It may end up, with a double top pattern, and that also will help you to break out further downwards. And profit potential on this can be in the range of about 40 pips of Fibonacci 38.2, roughly about 80 pips of Fibonacci 50, and about 120 pips of Fibonacci 1.8. Now, if it forms that double top pattern, that can push it as much as Fibonacci 70.6 at about 100 and 70 pips thereabout. So it's a long-term swing movement. So we're bearish on the AUD card. You're welcome, Mr. Akpan. You're welcome, Funke. All right, we're going to be ending the analysis right here this morning. Don't forget to join us again by 12:30 p.m. in the afternoon for the afternoon session analysis. Do trade safe and have a great day ahead. Bye-bye.